the time that he died for my rape, it had taken me years. If you know anything about post-traumatic stress disorder, I had passed federal polygraph test. I've had so many polygraph tests that I'm like the polygraph guinea pig.
Let me ask you a couple of questions because we're getting a lot of different places.
You're an investigator. Everybody's polygraphs.
Sure.
And I've sat down on a lot of them.
Well, let me ask you this first. Now, you were attacked in the woods and raped. Now, who did that?
James Brown.
James Brown attacked you and raped you. Now, so after that, did you go to the police?
I was driven back to my city. I was not living in the area where I was attacked in South Carolina, and of course, I went to the hospital because I was badly hurt.
Right.
And Mr. Brown, and that's part of what happened prior to my rape. We did go to the Lincoln dealership to look for the Volkswagen Rabbit, and then he went to a Texaco and he asked me to get him some of those Jolly Ranchers.
Okay.
And I'll never forget it. I got out and I went in and I got the Jolly Ranchers and I got the Coca-Colas that he wanted, and I brought them back and I got into the van, and I'll never forget. He took a bag and he started screaming at me, and he said, "You didn't bring me 100. You didn't bring me 100." And I started just crying. And because I was always this person that tried to be perfect. I knew I had gotten the Jolly Ranchers that he had asked for. I mean, he didn't ask me. He never said, "I want 100 Jolly Ranchers," or I would have counted them, but I didn't. And I brought them. And when he got them, when I went back, the lady at the Texaco, she said, "Oh, the eccentric Mr. Brown," because she saw me crying. And she said, "Come on, I'm going to help you count out 100 Jolly Ranchers for him."
Right.
And when I got back into the van and handed him the bag, he never even looked or counted them. He didn't even look at them.
Oh, but he was crazy. Okay, so we don't need to go into. I don't want to be in a situation where you're actually reliving every moment of this, this tragedy. Okay, but now, just suffice to say, the attack takes place, right? And you get away somehow, right?
No, he drove deep down into the woods, and he said that first he was driving down the expressway. He asked for a cigarette, and I gave him one of mine, and he puffed on it and he threw it out the window, and he said it was too strong.
Mm.
And then he told me that his wife had some cool cigarettes in the back, and he asked me to reach behind his seat and get them and give him one of those. And I did. And all of a sudden, it wasn't probably 30 seconds to a minute after he started smoking one, the sides of his face started twitching.
Right.
Like I'd never seen a face do that before. It looked like muscle spasms. And he started, his head started going to the left and to the right. And he started saying, look at the trees. Look at the trees. The trees are bending. Look at the trees. Look at the wind. And he started speeding up. He was going like about 100 miles an hour. And I started thinking, oh, my God, he's having a stroke. He's like having a major stroke because my dad, when he was in the VA, he did that. You know, when he had his stroke, he went like that. And
but now we know it was probably PCP. There was probably PCP on those cigarettes.
Well, actually, it was formaldehyde.
Right.
He smoked formaldehyde. and PCP together. And it was laced in the cigarettes.
Right.
And of course he veered off down the road, and he went into this little sandy area, and there was all these trees, and he was just hitting trees. He was telling me the trees were like rubber. They would bend, but they wouldn't bend.
Right.
He was just crashing the van into the woods, and once he got way deep down into the woods, he had his hands on the wheel, and he had on these black gloves without fingertips in them, and he said to me, "Get in the back of the van," and he called me by my name, and I was scared. I was very scared. I wasn't scared when he was going on the freeway that he would hurt me. That wasn't. He had the shotgun wedged between the seat and the center part of the van. You know, the place where you put your drinks and stuff. I wasn't scared then.
Okay.
I had thought maybe he was going to crash, and that if I jumped, but I also thought at that time that if I jumped, it would kill me, because he was going 100 miles an hour. And of course, then when he got in the woods, he took the shotgun, and he came between the seats, and of course for hours he was like an insane human being with foam coming out of his mouth, and he brutally he wasn't even a human being. This was not the man that I knew. This was not James Brown. This was not the person I had known. This was 100% pure devil and crazy person and animal and everything together. And I wanted to die. I wanted to die. And I remember thinking to myself, this will be a lot easier if he goes ahead and shoots me. And I thought about my mom, and I thought about my twin who had disabilities, and I asked God to please bring me home, because I didn't want my mom and my family knowing that I had been found in the woods dead. And God gave me that wish, and he brought me home. But I didn't ask him for an easy road, and he hasn't given me one. And I fought James Brown all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And my writ was accepted into the United States Supreme Court 2 weeks before he died, and on Christmas Day. And I changed the law for all rape victims. There is no longer a 7-year statute for limitations on rape victims. It can be 30 years whenever they get the courage to come through the door, as long as they can prove what they're saying. And so I can live with that.
Yeah,
it's HB 1462, Jackie's Law.
Okay, well then that's thank God for that, you know?
Yeah, and I was fighting him when he died, and that's when I got a call through my case. We were in the Supreme Court that in the middle of night, Christmas, and of course now every Christmas it's a flashback to the night James Brown died.
Yeah.
And every April Fool's Day is a flashback to this, and every Halloween is a flashback to the high-speed chases and the insanity of life with James Brown. And there's a lot of flashbacks that never go away, because when you're dealing with a worldwide icon, every day their music is on the radio. Right. Every day there's something in the paper. So you really can't get well. And, of course, right now I'm in court fighting for the I Feel Good Trust.
Okay, a couple of questions now. after the attack, did you ever see him again in person?
Yeah, actually, I did. I was ordered to do that concert, so I had to go through with it.
Oh my God. Okay.
By the judge, and I had been working on that whole year, and it was so bad that I suffered a Bell's palsy stroke. And
wait a second. What did
Dallas,
he say? What did his wife say? Did they say anything to you?
Adrian knew it. Adrian knew it, and I went to Buddy Dallas, and of course, it was a horrible time, and through doing the concert, it wasn't. It was very tough. He, I think in his mind, I think he was so out of it that I don't think he could remember everything in detail. You know what I'm saying? I think he was so crazy.
Yeah, sure. If he's seeing the trees bending and stuff like that, he's not going to have total recall of his episode.
Exactly. Right. Everything was perfect with him.
Okay.
You know, everything was fine the next day. There was no,
right.
You know what I'm saying? And but when I did put it in front of his face later, he had told me that night that if I told anybody that, there would be riots and they would kill my family, and as all attackers tell their victims that. And of course, with James Brown, he was so powerful, and I was very young, and I was very naive, and this was a person that I idolized. This was a person that I respected. I was in a horrible situation. There had been no William Kennedy Smith rape cases. There was no DNA back then. There was no hard copy. There was no rape sinners like there are today. I was in a horrible situation, and I was also white with long blonde hair and blue eyes, and he was a black man during the civil rights issues.
Right.
Where white women did not walk with a black man. So I had already kind of put myself in a very bad situation, but I had black friends and I had white friends, and I do to this day, and I've never believed that you should live your life in discrimination of another human being, whatever color they are. I don't care if they're purple, Chinese, or who they are. They're human beings. So I don't go around looking at people like that. I just, if you're kind and you have God in your heart, then you're a good person.
Now, with the trust...
I'm not saying I don't support the Iraqis or anything. Please don't get me wrong. Okay? For all those people, please. Okay, there.
Well, but the thing is, now, with the trust, were you a trustee in the trust?
I was. James Brown and I appointed Buddy Dallas that day to be our trustee.
So there was one trustee.
And yes, Buddy Dallas.
See, because normally how they do that with a trust is all members of the trust are trustees, and then when one dies off, the other two gain control of the trust.
Right. James Brown and I had full control with Buddy Dallas. We did it like the Three Musketeers. Everything we did together.
Right.
So it was me, James Brown, and Buddy Dallas. We had worked on many, many projects together, and it was us three together. We didn't expect Buddy Dallas would have never taken a penny from James Brown. Buddy Dallas spent years giving James Brown money when he didn't have 2 cents to his name.
Right.
I can remember.
What I'm trying to get at, though, is how you lost control of the trust.
We lost control, and I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
James Brown had a meeting. I had him in federal court, and there were arbitrators going on here in Chicago, and there were meetings set up with arbitrators and me and James Brown about November of 2005, and I'm sorry, 2006. This was right before he died, and he held a meeting at his house, and he told his daughters and all of his children, he brought everybody there, and he said, here's where it's at. Nobody's getting anything. When I die, all of my money is going into the I Feel Good Trust.
Okay.
Everything I own, my copyrights, everything. Now, here's what's very interesting. His two daughters, Yama and Deanna,